Hello and welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian and I'm without Kyle today, but I do have special guests today to recap some things Union and Union 2. And pleased to welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On, Evan Konigsberg. And you can find him at Philly Soccer Now. And got to know him quite a bit with being in the press box, Union and Union 2. So really excited to have him on and recap some of the Union's action here recently. So, Evan, how are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you? I'm happy to join you here.
Yeah, doing well. And for people out there wondering where Kyle is, he was unable to join us tonight. So, yeah, he's had a lot going on with his job on his main gig. So, um, I'm just handling it tonight. But yeah, so. Um, for everyone listening, you can find our podcast at wherever you get your podcasts. We have our YouTube channel, One Team We Agree On. You can find us on socials at on Twitter and on Blue Sky at TOTWAG and on Instagram and Facebook at the One Team We Agree On. And I'm at silly double underscore Jilly on Twitter. Nothing like those the handles that I've had forever. But
Never gets old.
right. And so yeah, so some great stuff here. We're going to talk about the Nashville match for the Union. We're going to talk about Red Bull 2 for Union 2, and also some news around Next Pro and the MLS. So, yeah, let's get to it. Oh, and before we start, I always like to talk about what we're wearing. I know Kyle's usually the one that asks me that. I am wearing my Maxi throwback Sixers
Oh
jersey.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Sixers are playing as we are recording, and it's a close one.
Try
So,
not to think about it.
right. And yeah, so I just thought I'd wear that.
Yeah.
How about you, Evan? What are you wearing?
So I knew this was coming and I knew I had to bring my best. So I'm wearing the 2016 U.S. Men's National Team number 11 Alejandro Bedoya jersey because I
Yes.
had to bring out my best. And just for some of the listeners that might not be familiar to me, I write for Philadelphia Soccer Now. I make video content for them. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Evan Knows Ball, or just search my name, Evan Konigsberg.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love that jersey. That's great. Um,
It
what a
was a
good
great
throwback.
find. It
Yeah.
was like a miracle to stumble upon it, but
Yeah, absolutely. And I know like actually today for at work because it was we have always like a Wednesday theme for where I work for school and today was wear pink or red or hearts because it had to do with like caring or something. So I actually wore my red like hearts jersey,
oh,
Heart of
okay. So like
Midlothian.
Finley, yeah, okay.
Yep, and it's my
Nice,
Stu
nice,
Finley
nice.
one. Yeah, so it
What a
literally
game
has
on
heart on
Monday.
it.
Oh my goodness. What a
Yeah,
game.
yeah. So, but I did change it up for the evening. But yeah. So let's get into it. So, some news in MLS Next Pro. First of all, this came out last week. KKR making a strategic investment to accelerate the growth of MLS Next Pro. So, big news here. Alex Silverman was the first to report from SBJ on Friday morning, broke that news. Actually, I feel like it was that's what Kyle's written out. I think it was Thursday. But anyway, MLS and private equity firm KKR have agreed to establish a joint venture that will centrally control the commercial rights for most teams in MLS Next Pro Development League. The concept has been in development since early 2024 and received final approval from MLS owners following more in-depth discussion and refinement over past several months. So the new company, Hometown Soccer Holdings, plans to move Next Pro teams that are affiliated with MLS clubs to nearby mid-sized markets, where the firm will facilitate the construction of multi-purpose stadiums with roughly 6,000 to 8,000 seats. And Hometown Soccer Holdings will oversee venue operations, branding, ticketing, sponsorship, merchandising. They're going to oversee a lot of that stuff. MLS clubs will have the option of whether to turn over business operations of their development teams to the joint venture or to retain those rights, with most expected to opt in, and those that do will retain control of soccer operations for their next pro teams, including coaching, player development, contracts, and travel. Um, Financial terms haven't been disclosed. And yeah, so we still don't know a lot about what's going on with that, what that means for the union, and um, have some clips here to share real quick. So let's see here. Let's do this. And so first one here is we'll do this one here.
Two reserve team, it becomes a club in another town with its own brand, its own front office, maybe its own revenue streams. Is that the kind of model we're looking at?
Simon, that's exactly right. And John Ingram, the owner of Nashville SC, and his team, Ian Ayre and Lindsay Piola, have done an incredible job of leading by example and creating Huntsville City FC, and that it's the perfect example. And this is exactly what can and should be happening across the country with all of these clubs. And for the fans of Huntsville, they have their own club, and they get to see the best young prospects who are on their way. They may be a year or 6 months or a weekend away from playing in Nashville, or seeing some of the first team players who are recovering from an injury coming to Huntsville as they work their way back into the first team. So we'll be doing this exactly this way across the country. And there is another live example this year, which is FC Dallas's club, which is now opening a new stadium, an $80 million facility, opening next month in the city of Mansfield, Texas. And that's another great example of this in action. But it needs to happen with all of them, and we're here to assist and to build two.
Okay, so that was the first clip, and that's the powers that be there speaking about it. And then I asked Ryan Richter.
But the hope is that this league.
I asked Ryan Richter last week as well about that. So he didn't have much to offer yet about what it means for Union 2, but here's what he had to say.
But the hope is that this league gets better, more professional, and it gives a better pathway for players to develop to an MLS and beyond that. So that's the goal of everyone involved, is to keep building this league to be better and better. So I think that's, we'll see as it goes, but it's something we've known about for a little bit, and excited about what those changes, how they can positively affect the pathway and what we're trying to do. But the hope is that this league gets better.
Sorry, that's playing again. I pulled a Kyle there. Sorry, Kyle.
No worries.
But yeah, so yeah, that could mean who knows what for Union 2, if they would stay in Chester there, or if they would go somewhere else, like how, Chattanooga had, obviously they're independent, but like something like Huntsville is a good example. They're kind of like a ways from the team, kind of their own identity there. I don't know. What do you think, Evan, on
Yeah,
that?
so there's a lot of, different implications to this, whether it's the Union, who are they playing every week? Who is Union 2 playing every week? And also, where are they going to play? I think the first thing that came into everyone's mind when we saw this announcement in the Philly area was, are we headed to Bethlehem Steel Part 3? Which I don't think so. But something very interesting that I found about this was when the Union brought their second team back to Chester, specifically Chester. It was a point of pride for them because they wanted to have their whole system top to bottom in the same place. So what I did was I looked back at the Sportsplex announcement from 2022. The announcement of the $55 million project marks a significant step in the development. And in addition, the project will bring the Philadelphia Union Academy and YSC Academy to one campus alongside the first and second teams, furthering the commitment to youth development and the player to pro pathway, which really makes you think, like, I'm not sure that the Union, this might have been what the Union organization would have wanted, a team that has players that are with the first team one day and the next day they're playing 90 for Union 2. This might not be the best thing for an organization like the Union. What else it might mean is we might get a smaller market in the area, Harrisburg, Lancaster, even somewhere there, that would then get their own team in more of like a minor league baseball type deal. So I think it's probably going to take a while for us to find out, but I do wonder if it affects that kind of grand vision that the org had putting together that training complex.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point because, yeah, when this came out, I thought, well, wait a second. They just made this awesome complex. Everything's so integrated. You have the whole pathway there in that central
Hmm.
location. And you think about some of these players that do slide between the teams. You have a lot of these like U18s that are going and practicing with Union 2 and playing with Union 2 at times. And then you got players going between Union 2 and the first team. And it's
Exactly.
just, and the coaches are there communicating all the time. I see, like, for instance, Ross Kane is, he'll be coaching with Union 2 with the goalkeeping, but then he's over with the first team, and and then of course there's the whole, the games. Now, as much as I would love if they were in Lancaster, that'd be a really short drive for me, you know?
Oh yeah, very
I,
convenient.
I low key kind of love that, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, well, yeah, how does that work logistically? And you figure some of these guys that play with Union 2, they go to YSC, they're going to school right there too.
Hmm.
So, if depending on how far it'd be, that just complicates everything, I think. But I mean, I appreciate they're trying to market this more and,
Hmm.
make, like, kind of take Next Pro to the next level. And if it means
Right.
they're going to have more like merchandise, sell the kits
Yeah.
and stuff. I mean, we know a
Yeah.
lot of people want the kits.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
and some of the Next Pro teams are selling them. For some reason, I get FC Cincinnati emails. I need to, like, get unsubscribed from
You
that,
gotta
but I keep
unsub,
getting.
you gotta block them.
I know I keep getting that because, like, we went to a game there like in 2023. I don't know, but they're selling their second team kits. There's a few
Yeah.
that are. So, um, yeah, so we'll see. I'm intrigued by this and where it's gonna go,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And I'm just gonna, before we kind of move on from this,
Yeah.
there's multiple sides to this coin in that you think MLS Next Pro, you think second team, MLS reserve team. That's true, but there are these independent senior teams like Chattanooga, like we mentioned earlier. And I talked to Ryan Richter after the CT United game this year because CT United, it's their first team in MLS Next Pro. It's an older team, a lot of college graduates there, 23 plus year old players.
Hmm.
And I asked him about that, being that a lot of his players are 16, 17 years old, and he thought it was great. He
Hmm.
says, we welcome the challenge. Great experience for my young guys. It's only going to make them better. And I do wonder if this will only encourage the independent MLS Next Pro team even more, given that they are already showing the independence of the MLS market and the MLS stadium. And the stadium investment's a huge thing with this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, like, yeah, I've talked to Ryan about it too. It's like they always are, glad to have some of that next level competition,
Hmm.
whether it's Chattanooga or CT United. And there's more of these independent Next Pro teams coming too. So there's like several of them that are in the works here. So yeah, we'll see. And
We'll see.
yeah, I know, even like that's like what Ryan's like, well, we'll see. But
Yeah.
I am definitely intrigued. So um but yeah, those of you guys listening, what let us know what you think. And you know, it's when you see how few people were at the Union 2 games, like, it was awesome back in 2024 because, like, good crowds were showing up, but also you had Kevin Sullivan was like,
Hmm.
people were showing up to see Kevin, and also the first team was kind of like struggling, but I mean, not that they aren't now, but it was, how it was in 2024. So it was like, but Union 2 is,
Hmm.
just balling out. So I don't know, but
Hmm.
if it can get more people
Yeah.
invested, maybe. So
That demand is a big thing. And I do wonder for some of the other teams, like when I was in DC this year, that stadium investment. If you're building a new stadium and it's not like USL where you're a tenant in a baseball stadium or a college soccer stadium, I was talking to people in DC. They announced they're building a stadium in Baltimore. And a lot of people are like, who really wants to see like the 24th place MLS team's reserves? And I think that's going to be something that it's going to be a test of the marketing of the passionate of people to watch their local team, whether they're an MLS team or not. So we'll
yeah.
see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I'm being honest, I think, say, the Lancaster area wouldn't be bad. There's a big soccer, I should say, like, kind of, yeah, there's a big soccer base out here. I mean, we have
Hmm.
Spooky Nook, we have the Nook complex out here, and it just draws tons of people. But yeah, we have a pretty big, like, youth soccer contingent out here. So I don't know. But that's just me being selfish if I could have a short commute for something. But anyway, moving on, let's talk about just a little bit about the Vancouver Whitecaps situation before we dive into the Union stuff. There's all this talk about, of course, moving Vancouver Whitecaps, and it really is a shame, honestly, because um, that club has been there for so long and they have their identity. And but on this, a group led by businessman Grant Gustafson announced that it had submitted a bid to Major League Soccer to buy the Whitecaps and relocate the club to Las Vegas. Because, that's where all the clubs that are relocating are going in the different sports. But the group has proposed building a privately financed soccer-specific stadium in Las Vegas with no public funding, though details of the site and terms of the offer were not disclosed. According to Sportsnet from the Canadian press, it is believed multiple offers are on the table to relocate. Vancouver's been up for sale since 2024. No offers come to the table. And the stadium situation at BC Place and Don's Twitter are oh yeah, and Don Garber's Twitter getting hacked. Apparently
Hacked. No, I don't
hacked.
think he.
I
I
don't
think it was
know.
probably
It
it was
probably
probably
was.
an admin. I highly doubt that Don Garber himself is ever tweeting on his account, but
Right.
I could be wrong. I could be way off on that.
Yeah. And for people who don't know what it said, basically it was liar, liar, pants on fire. Oh my gosh. Like elementary
Oh
school level
man,
there. But
literally.
anyway, yeah, I mean, there's all these teams that are going, you know, moving to Vegas lately. So, but um what do you think about this situation with Vancouver?
Yeah. So first, I'm going to add a little bit more context
Mhm.
for our listeners here and
Yes.
say the Whitecaps play at BC Place is a
Hmm.
multi-purpose venue. They do not own it. It is owned by BC Pavilion Corporation or PAVO, they call themselves. They pay rent, they're tenants. They don't like, it's not like the union where, the union can bring in a lot more of their game day profits. They're tenants in this stadium. They really lack revenue control. And, the stadium owners, they take a minor cut of the ticket sales, but MLS gets a lot of that. And the Caps only get if they exceed $3.5 million of food and beverage revenue, they then get 12.5% of that money, which is very, very minimal. So on top of that and the rent, it's kind of easy to see why they're kind of having issues here. And it seemed like like you said, the Caps have been up for sale. The current owners bought this club in 2002 when they were in USL for $35 million. It's worth way more than that now to have an MLS club. It's probably over $400 million. That's around where Forbes puts it. So I think the current owners are more inclined to get out than they are to splash on a stadium, which would be much more difficult to do. When it comes to relocation, I have a lot of thoughts on this, as I'm sure you do as well.
Hmm.
But there is nothing more cruel for a sports fan, in my opinion, than to lose your team.
Hmm.
I think that's terrible. And I hope that people in the Vancouver area, people in power, in charge, people, maybe some of the wealthier people in the Vancouver area, I hope that they get involved with this because it would be a disaster considering how the Caps have looked the last couple of years too, how into it the fans are. They brought a couple thousand fans to Cruz Azul for the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. That was incredible.
Hmm.
And for this to be the talking point at this point in time in the Caps history, it just sucks. And I really hope that they find a resolution to stay sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if that happened to say like I would hate that,
Oh my gosh.
And honestly, there's I mean, yeah, it just feels like Vegas is getting so many teams like from
Hmm.
elsewhere there that's nothing's like organic for them.
Right.
And so except for like I guess the Golden Knights, which they they really could have done better with that name, but that's for another topic.
Yeah.
Because Kyle's such a big fan of like Vegas, like the city in general. We go there all the
Mhm.
time, but like he's like, oh, they could have had such a better name for that. But anyway, yeah. So I think I do hope they figure something out here and that they get to stay in Vancouver.
Hmm.
So, yeah, we will see.
And
And
I'm
that
just going
was,
to jump
yeah.
back in
Yeah,
really
go ahead.
quick
Go
and
ahead.
say that data I got about the 12.5% of the food and beverage that came from Bob Mackin on Substack. So thank you,
Hmm.
Bob. He actually acquired or found the original contract agreement between the Whitecaps and BC Place and really broke that down. That was a cool read, kind of helped me understand a lot more about the financial workings of all of this and why the Caps are trying so desperately to move out of BC Place.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I didn't even know that detail either. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So that
Uh,
lease was done in 25 and they extended it 1 year to the end of this season, just as like a last resort, like we need to figure something out.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that, gosh, I do hope they figure that out. They seem to have
Mhm.
such a good fan base, honestly, that's like really
Oh
invested in
yeah.
them. So, I mean, honestly, I'd be really devastated for their fans if they have to move. And it's not like I mean, and that's a far move too.
Oh my
So,
gosh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not like there's that many Canadian teams in MLS. And so, but that's a trip that Kyle and I had thought about taking last year when they went out to Vancouver. In hindsight, we're really glad that we didn't go to it. Because that 7-0 drubbing of the
Oh
Union.
my God.
Um, yeah,
Don't remind me.
but we that was a trip we were like, oh man, that would be so cool to visit there because I've heard like what a cool city it is. So
Yeah. And you and Kyle know this. Vegas has a pro soccer team.
yeah, they
So
do. They have a USL team.
you worry about a San Diego Loyal situation where, oh, here comes
Yes.
the MLS, and then you're looking for a new stadium as a USL team, and you kind of are like, all right, well, maybe people's appetite for USL soccer will go down given an MLS market, and then that's kind of the end of the road for you. And I feel like the Lights are doing pretty good for themselves, so I would hate to see that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been to a couple lights games out there and the ones we were at were not, I mean, it was the summer and it was hot. They weren't like super well attended, but they
Hmm.
had a, loyal fan base there. We had a great time. It's funny because when we went the last time we went in there, these guys that were DC United fans and they're outside like tailgating and they're like and they invited us over. They're like, "Hey, you want to come like hang out with us? You want?" They're like, "You want a beer? You want to come hang out with us?" And they were really cool. And like we were talking because they're like, "Yeah, we're DC United fans, but we're also Las Vegas Lights fans. We live out here now." And but yeah, they were super chill. And and the stadium, it's an old baseball stadium. It's
Yeah,
where
it
yeah
is.
the Las Vegas 51s used to play AAA team, but now they have the Aviators. But yeah, so. As much I think low key Kyle would love to see them move to Vegas, but no, yeah, I think that would also hurt the identity of Las Vegas Lights, and I'd hate to see that team go like the
Yep.
Loyal did.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so let's talk Union versus Nashville.
Yay.
Yeah.
Another nil-nil draw.
Right. So it's like, yeah, if you would have said to me early in the season, oh, it's a 0-0 draw against Nashville, who's in first place, I've been like, okay. But then when you look at the context of it, of how the game was, it's like, oh, that's a disappointment. And we often talk about, you know, a loss draw and a win draw. When you're on the road, especially, and you get a draw, that's usually kind of a win. At home, against a team that is rotated and missing like their top players there, at least for the first half. And of course, Surge was out for the entire game. And, Mukhtar and Espinoza, they didn't get brought in until the second half. And you're thinking, okay, that first half, man, could they put up some goals here?
Mhm.
So let's talk about that a little bit. First of all, the lineup. Bradley's been trying a, different combinations with the lineup. And so we saw Bruno on the bench and
Yep.
Aldo getting the start up top with Milan and then
Mhm.
Cavan and Indy get the start there. What do you think about the lineup that Bradley had to start?
So I think this was probably the right look by Carnell. And before I get into the lineup, I'm going to say a draw on the road usually feels like a win unless you can see to a goalkeeper in the 97th minute. But
This is true.
about
This
the
is very
more
true.
about the lineup was I think what myself and a lot of other people have been seeing is the Alado Damiani combination doesn't give you enough verticality running it behind. And Milanolowski, while he does kind of drop deep into that 10 spot, does actually make runs off the shoulder as well. And it kind of gives them that added dimension of being able to get in behind. And we saw it in this game. We saw it in the Toronto game, actually. That was the first goal in the Toronto game. And Cavan was great in this game as well, so he gets into the lineup. Olaski moves up to striker. Damiani sits. So it opens up the spot for Cavan, and Olaski plays up top. And Olaski had his chance in this game. He had a couple, but he had one really good one on a ball from Frankie Westfield where he was
Mhm.
doing exactly what I was just saying, running off the shoulder in behind Woledzi, and he was just reaching for the ball a little too much, couldn't put it in. Cavan was really active in the first half. He had a shot or two. And, they couldn't really just get it over the line. They took a lot of shots, but in terms of the lineup, I liked the direction that Carnell went with it and giving Damiani some time to kind of watch the game before coming in.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, okay, that's good because yeah, the Damiani and Aldo partnership just not working. Got to shake that up a little bit. And
Mhm.
I think we did see better from Aldo. I think he's starting to grow into it. I know it can be an adjustment, but it was good to see. I thought the pairing with Woloski was a lot better. I thought that I was glad to see Cavan starting and see him and Indy the way that they were. And Frankie on the right. Of course, that's his strongest. He can play the
Oh yeah.
left. He can do well, but
Hmm.
Frankie got to really shine there, and I thought he was really good. I thought Cavan had an excellent night, and you really see him starting to grow into it as well. And a shame that Jeff Sari Larson has to exit in like the 15th
Oh
minute.
man.
He's been doing a solid job back there. But he, of course, got pulled on his shoulder that was bothering him when he got that foul that with that rescinded red card that play he that got aggravated. So hopefully he'll be good to go. I'm sure there'll be updates in the press conference tomorrow about how some of these players are doing, including Bueno. But yeah, I thought that lineup, I thought that was decent. And to their credit, yeah, they were getting shots. They're still not getting it over the goal line. But the chances were there. They outshot Columbus really, but
Yeah.
they, yeah, they just couldn't get that goal. And of course, the goalpost. Anyway, but yeah, so as I was saying, um, yeah, I was thinking, okay, well, their best chance here was to score before the big guns come in, because you knew Mukhtar was going to come in. You knew Espinoza was going to come in the second half probably, because their mind's on CONCACAF Champions Cup, which they lost last night. I saw, but missed opportunities there. But to their credit, they did hold off. I thought they held off those guys pretty well in the second half.
Hmm.
So at least, getting the clean sheet there, I mean, that was a positive. You know, so it it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. They need to score some goals. And I can understand fans would be feeling really
Yeah.
frustrated on this.
Yeah. And to the point at the end, I do want to say Gainer Martinez came in for Sari
Mhm.
defensively. He was great. He was awesome in this
Yes.
game. So props to him. He didn't really falter when
Hmm.
Mokhtar Espinoza came in, so he didn't really look scared. We hadn't seen him in MLS since Makanya was sent off against NYCFC, so good for him. I was happy to see that performance. Circling back to the shots and these post-game press conferences, if you listen to them, you'll know this. If not, I'll tell you right now. They are starting to sound the same about Carnell saying, I like the way we played. We had our chances. It just didn't go in. And eventually they're gonna go in. And I get that. And I think in this game, I maybe get it a little more. But I kind of looked into this a little bit more to see like, is this justified? Like, are the Union playing well because they're getting
Hmm.
shots? So it was Nashville. They had 16 shots, which
Hmm.
is a lot, but only four were on target. They did create three big chances though, which is one of their best so far this season. So three big chances to score, all of which were missed because they didn't score. Nashville had eight shots, only one on target. So well done in this game. But over the span of the season, are they unlucky or are they shooting from outside the box? Are they shooting low percentage shots? Are they shooting non-threatening shots? So looking at the MLS numbers, the Union are eighth in shots per match, which is top 10. It's pretty good. You take
Hmm.
that. You're probably like top 4 or 5 in the Eastern Conference if you look at it that way. In big chance creation, the Union are 24th, which is sixth bottom in the league. So there's a big disparity there. So they're taking these shots. When they have good chances, they don't score that many, but a lot of them aren't really super quality chances. And when you look at it in a sense of goals per shot taken, they are dead last in the league. And this is a mix of, the strikers being cold, Damiani being unconfident, Aldo adjusting, and a lot of long shots from outside the box. I think it's trending in the right direction after the Nashville game, but still, I think there's a little bit more that they could be doing offensively here.
Yeah, 100%. And, back to what the point was huge. I thought that was huge for Gator Martinez getting that. I think that brought a lot of confidence because, he really wasn't getting the opportunities. And, when Carnell's going with, say, Nate Harriel at center
Hmm.
back, Another thing to think about too is how much was their kind of substitution plan thrown off by having to bring in Jeff so early. It sounded like
Right.
they kind of had a feeling they might need to, depending because of his status.
Hmm.
But at the same time, yeah, I mean, having to make that substitution so early, I'm sure that probably threw off the game plan a little bit. So, um, yeah, I feel like it was a little bit more positive that they seem to be trending in the right direction, but they still need to get it
Right.
over the line. And I think it's going to be really telling in their next match, like, if they can, actually get it going. But I'll be interested to see, what kind of lineup Carnell goes with again, if he's going to stick with that sort of lineup. Also,
Hmm.
it'll depend on some of the injuries. I mean, I really feel for Bueno because he was really getting his chances and really playing well. So that
Hmm.
was
What
that
a
was
shame.
heartbreaking for him with that. So um, yeah. So any other thoughts on Nashville before we move on?
Yeah, so I do want to say that as a guy that covers local soccer, I have to give a shout out to BJ. I mean, BJ is doing a great
Hmm.
job with this group. This is a guy who was a former assistant under Jim Curtin with the Union. He has them in first place, and they did just bow out of the CONCACAF Champions League in the semifinals last night, but it was what a run from them.
Hmm.
Losing Sam Surridge was kind of tough for them. I mean, he's probably the best striker in the league. So, but I can't say enough positive things about what Nashville has done this year. And even it goes to show you that even their backups gave the Union a game. Um, One other thing I do want to touch upon that a lot of people are probably happy to hear about this game was Cavan started the game. It's his second start in a row.
Hmm.
So I think we might be seeing a trend here rather than just getting a start or two mixed in. When we asked Bradley Cornell about this after the game, he actually said that knowing he's playing a physical Nashville team, he designed their game plan around getting
Hmm.
Cavan an open space to dribble so there isn't a guy on his back shoving him around and stuff like that. So pretty cool to hear. Hopefully we're going to see more of Cavan Sullivan soon because I know a lot of people have been getting a little antsy to see some more Cavan minutes.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I thought that was really interesting when Carnell said that. And I think it's really encouraging. And as someone who covers Union too quite a bit and really likes seeing the development of these players coming up through, I yeah, I'm excited for Kevin. I think he's earned it at this point. He's
Oh
showing he
yeah.
can hang with the big guys here. And he's really growing into it. He's getting so much better. And it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, does he make that, star of the next game? I'd like to see it. I
Hmm.
think I honestly think that first MLS goal is coming soon. Maybe that'll be the next goal the Union finally score, right?
Oh my
So
gosh.
that
Somebody's
would be
first.
something.
Damiani's first. Alado's first. Cavan's first. Somebody.
Yes, just somebody score.
Please.
Yeah. So yeah, so they'll have New England on Saturday. They'll be traveling there and then we had on Sunday, we had Union 2 hosting Red Bull 2, and Red Bull 2 is in second place, and Union 2 had tied them 1-1 on the road the last time they met in March and had won the shootout. Epic job by George Marks in goal there, and not a whole lot of offense. They didn't have a single shot till like Lennon Harrington scored like in the middle of the second half, so they hadn't had much going. I know Ryan Richter said it was not a great performance by them, except until George made all those saves in the shootout. So, on the match. Red Bull too. Um, pretty strong lineup I thought coming out. You actually had this was interesting though. I mean, you have Stas Korzeniowski and Malik Jakupovic at
Oh my
striker, and then you
gosh.
have Eddie Davis. Okay, Eddie Davis playing at attacking mid, like right there on the left. And Ryan Richter said after the match when I talked to him, he thinks it's the first time that Eddie has ever started in that position. He said not played, but definitely started in
Hmm.
that position. So that was different, but I didn't mind it. I know Richter said Eddie did a really good job. And so I kind of like that. And they had William Ferrer on the bench. When William came in, he did a really, really good job
Yep.
too. So, I thought this lineup was pretty strong. You see Rafael Uzcategui like killing it in I was upstairs cheering about something. Oh, the Sixers lost 108 to 102.
Oh man.
Now they're 0-2,
I knew
just
that
like
was
the
coming.
Flyers.
I knew that was
He's a
coming.
Timberwolves fan. I don't know what he's celebrating about. Anyway, but moving on from that. But anyway, yeah, the back line's doing well. I feel like Finn Sundstrom's looking better and better there, but
Hmm.
Rafa's good. And um, you know, we do Red Bulls. We're gonna bring physical game, and so you get Stas, of course, doing his thing. He scores his fourth goal in his, third appearances, three appearances, and he's got four goals leading the team. His
And an
Malik has
assist.
three.
Assist to go
Yes.
with it.
Yes, yes. So he's doing well at that level, and it's good to see him getting that work, but I feel like he's kind of beyond next pro, I think, but he's not getting the chances at MLS. It's like almost like would
Yep.
he be better off like loaned to like USL or something? Like
Hmm.
how CJ and Marcus are thriving. I mean, Marcus, he's killing it at Brooklyn, but I digress. But no, it's good to see him at least getting that work and um but then there were some really questionable things in the match. And Red Bull, they equalize and then they get the winning goal. And Union 2 lose 2-1. And they almost had the equalizer at the death there. It looked like Stas had scored, but it was offside.
But it was not to be.
No, but there are a couple unfortunate things, and I know I'm not one that wants to like blame the ref, and I know Ryan doesn't want to blame it on that either. But as I know Kevin Kincaid likes to say, more than one thing can be true. Okay, the ref could have called some things better, and Union 2 could have
Right.
played better in some situation at the
Exactly.
same time. So what happened was, of course, Andy Rojas from Red Bull 2 was already on a yellow, like from early on. And then he commits another foul on Finn Sundstrom. And that should have been definitely a sending off of that. Richter said so. And, all of us watching were like, why is he still on the field, really? And so that was kind of a blown call. And I thought the first goal from Red Bull did definitely look offside. I know. I
It
think
was
Richter's.
close.
It was
I was
close.
I was pausing it on the video. I was
Yeah.
watching it back.
And I'm no expert on calling offside. I tell Kyle, I'm like, sometimes I'm like Ted Lasso when it comes to knowing offside.
Hmm.
Um, but
And what I'll say
yeah,
about that
yeah,
first goal that they conceded
yeah.
is experience for young players.
Hmm.
Play to the whistle.
Yep.
In these days, they let the play go until it ends, and then if there's an offside, the flag will go up. The center backs tried to step up and hold the line. The play continued. He rounded the goalkeeper, and had Finn Sundstrom or Rafa tracked back a little earlier, that shot could have been cleared off the line.
Yep.
But they didn't, so it wasn't, and it went in. It was so
Yep.
close.
So close. And that's a shame because yeah, I thought it was a strong lineup. They
Hmm.
really Ryan Richter said after the match he was really proud of how his team played. They did a lot really well. And so, I mean, he was pretty upbeat about it, all things
Hmm.
considered. So, Giovanni Sequeira, I thought had a really good game. So he's really grown into that as well. So unfortunate. I mean, Red Bull 2 has been playing well. They're undefeated. So they remain undefeated. And Union 2 slipped down to, I believe, fifth, but they had been up in third. But it
Hmm.
is what it is at this point. But, they're right in there. And I feel like they're getting a little bit better and a little bit better. And they have some of these
Yep.
academy guys, like Mateus DePaula has been doing fantastic. Guys like that. And so, as well as, yeah, William Ferreira, really good game for him.
Hmm.
He's been doing really well, and he's been at the U18 level, crushing it there, like in the Dallas Cup. So, these guys are all contributing well, and they actually get well off from MLS Next Pro matches this weekend, but yeah, they'll play next Wednesday. They're playing at the
Wednesday.
same time as the first team. First team's going to be
Oh,
in Orlando, and Union 2 are going to be home. Um,
interesting. So we'll have to
and
make a decision, you and I.
yeah, I think Kyle's going to cover the first team, and
There you
I'm
go.
going to do Union 2. But Friday, Union 2 are hosting the Ocean City Nor'easters on Friday at 1 p.m. at the Wisfis Bank Sportsplex. 1 p.m. It is open to the public. So for people listening, if you are free on Friday, it's a fun one to go look. It's a fun one to go
Mhm.
watch. And so the Nor'easters are USL 2 side. They have, college players, on there, that are home and as well as some other players. But there's some local ties there. There's a couple guys that have gone through the
Mhm.
union system too. So, and of course, Ryan Richter played for the Nor'easters for a bit too. So last year I went to that match. It was fun to watch that. So you'll definitely get to see probably some variety of players get some minutes in that for sure.
Mhm.
So they tend to do that. But Evan, are you able to go to that one?
I'm not, but I will be in Pittsburgh this
Mm,
weekend, which is very unfortunate. But I will throw out there USL 2 is getting kicked off this weekend
mm,
for this Pennsylvania division. Westchester play Lone Star on Saturday. If you want to check in on that live stream, go to the game. You got the Ronan and Declan Sullivan, the twins. You got
mm.
Danny Kruger on that team. That's going to be a stack squad to keep an eye on. So
Yeah.
I'll throw that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for Nor'easters, this is going to be like kind of their, I think, final tune-up before they start their regular
Hmm.
matches as well. So, yeah,
Cool.
I know I definitely got to check out Westchester as well with all those union connections and
Yeah.
never been to a game for them, but yeah, I'd actually
Yeah.
love to check that out. So,
And let me
yeah.
mention one thing
Hmm.
about what we were just talking about being. We talked about the Union struggles to score.
Hmm.
We talk about Next Pro, and we talk about this guy that's scoring 4 goals in 3 games. And so Stash, in my eyes, has earned that opportunity at the MLS level. There's a reason why he hasn't been getting that opportunity, which is unfortunate. But if you look at the MLS roster profiles, Stosh is in MLS roster slot 31, which is a fancy way to say it's essentially a season-long loan to a lower
Hmm.
division club, whether MLS Next Pro or USL. And the player, Stosh in this case, is not eligible to compete in MLS
Hmm.
except as a short-term call-up. And the maximum amount of games that those players are able to participate in is, well, it's in CONCACAF and Open Cup, it's unlimited, but MLS, you only get 6 appearances. And Stosh appeared as a sub or started 6 of the Union's matches and stopped getting called up on April 4th after the Charlotte match, the Union's 6th game of the season. So I think the Union are probably ready to give him a shot, considering how well he's been playing. They just can't until they can move around the roster in the summer, which is unfortunate. But looking at the numbers, looking at how Stosh has been playing, looking at how Aldo and Damiani have been playing,
Hmm.
I'm hopeful after the World Cup break, we might see a little bit more of him.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. And I think a lot of people don't realize like that was kind of like Nick Pariano's role last year too.
Right.
Like that he was, basically loaned down to Union 2 the whole season. And so yeah, I think he's just gotta keep balling out at Union 2 until he, maybe gets that chance and they
Yeah.
move the roster around. So shall be interesting. So yeah. So yeah, that's our episode for today. Before we move on, anything else you want to add, Evan, or anything you want to plug for what's coming up for you?
Oh, well, first, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on.
My
It's
pleasure.
long time listener, first time caller type deal for
Mhm.
me. So, you know, I appreciate the work that you guys have been doing. But yeah, just if you like anything you heard from me or Jillian today, a lot of my work, my writing, goes up on PhiladelphiaSoccerNow.com, and that you can find a lot of my work and a lot of the great work that me and my team does. We cover the union, we cover the local game, amateur stuff, youth stuff, college stuff. And yeah, I've been here about a year and it's been such a cool experience. So check it out if you get a chance.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, everyone listening, make sure you check it out. And I'll be at the Nor'easters friendly with Union 2 on Friday. I'm looking forward to it. I took off work.
Jealous.
So gonna make a day of that. I'm missing my teacher appreciation luncheon that day, but it's okay because I'll probably go get some better food anyway. It is teacher appreciation week. Woo. Anyway, so but yeah, looking forward to it. And again, thank you so much for coming on. This is been fun. I always enjoy chatting with you up in the press box as well, and appreciate that you come to a lot of those Union 2 games too, because
Yeah, man.
I know they appreciate all the coverage and and they're a fun team to cover,
It's such a
honestly.
fun team.
I love it. And sometimes it feels just like kind of a breath of fresh air, when maybe the first team is, going through their things. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, this has been great. And that's it for this edition of the One Team We Agree On. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on our various socials. Leave us comments. We love hearing from you. And we'll have some articles coming up. Kyle's going to have his travel article for um, New England as well. And I think one for Orlando eventually as well, because they've got a few away matches. And I have an interview coming up. There
Oh,
will be a special episode very soon. So, in a few days, I think. So,
that
that is
sounds
coming down.
exciting.
Yeah. So, yep. So that's it for the One Team We Agree On. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the game.